and I don't know if I went over this last week, but I know we worked on the stem and we worked on the lines, and you'll notice I have wet paper towels on this pumpkin. Keep it nice and moist because I don't want it to get dry before I start cutting it. If it starts getting dry, then it has more chance of breaking. So I want to keep it nice and moist. And you'll notice that I've got nice lines in here. I probably could work on these a little bit more, but I'm doing this rather quickly. If it were for a grade, for sure, I would work on these lines a little bit more. And you could see that the stem, probably could use a little more work too. Let me see if I can figure out where to put this here. There we go. The stem could use a little bit more work, and the lines probably could use a little bit more. It probably could be smoothed up a little bit more, but I could probably work on that as I go. So this pumpkin here could use a little bit more work, a little more time, but I can work on that later. I'll just let it sit because I'm going to work on a face for this one here soon. So I will put that away. I'm going to put my wet paper towels on it so that it doesn't dry out. Remember, don't get them too wet because, it'll dissolve. I want to show you this slip here. This was all dry clay just a few minutes ago, and I put water in there, mixed it up a little bit, and I got some really nice slip. So make sure that your pumpkin's not too dry. Okay, this is the pumpkin I've been working on. I told you I liked that one pumpkin that I found on the internet. I thought it was really cool. You take a look at this one here. I worked on building up the lip, and I cut it open, and then I added these little teeth to it. And then I'm starting to work on cutting the face here. And I'm cutting these eyes, and I'm going to make one eye big and one eye small, and I'm going to try to make it look like, the face is skewed a little bit. Now, what I've been doing is taking a paper clip, or you could take a pencil or whatever, and you kind of want to draw your lines on the pumpkin to figure out where you want to cut. And this is just a basic idea where you want to cut it. I will always draw it out there first before I cut it. Now, what I'm going to use is, you can use any knife that you have, but I do have a pumpkin cutting knife, and we have some here. So I'm going to use this pumpkin cutting knife. If you have one of these, that would be great. And if you don't, I would be really careful about how you cut this. You can always use your little bitty paring knife, would be fine. But remember, this is a knife, and you can cut yourself. So please be careful with that. I don't want anyone to hurt themselves because they're not being careful. So I would get a small knife like you would cut a pumpkin at home, and you can use that. Just be careful not to put your hands in front of it. Don't, go crazy on it. I don't know. So what I've done on here is I've drawn out my pumpkin face, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And I really like these, these little saws for carving pumpkins because I can saw it slowly, and I'm not trying to push it through all at once. And I think that is the best tool to use, but use what you have. And I'll try to keep that from falling in there. So I've got kind of a face there, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to build up this face. I want to build it up so that I have some coils along here and build up the brow. Now my pumpkin is pretty plastic. It's still pretty plastic, but what I want to do is I'm going to get a brush and get some water and try to soften up these edges a little bit. Just put some water on there just to soften them a little bit. And this will help, help with the clay sticking. And I generally like to do this if I feel like my clay is a little dry. And I'll just take this brush. You can do it with your finger. You don't have to do it with a brush. But I have this brush here, and it works pretty good. But if you have a brush, that's great. Okay, so I'm just softening it up a little bit with this brush. And like I said, you could just put a little on your finger and put it on there too. And I'm going to soften that up. Now I need some clay and make a quick coil. And you could make it on the table, or you could make it in your hands, depending on how you want to do it. Okay, so I've got a quick coil there. Maybe I'll go a little bit thinner. Okay, what I want to do is I want to put this on the brow here and build up this brow. And to do that, I moisten that with water, but I might need to put a little slip on here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along here with some slip on my fork, and I'm going to actually kind of score it a little, as I go. Score it up a little bit, put some slip on there. I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Especially if yours is a little dry, you definitely want to get it wet, and you definitely want to use slip. And hopefully it's not too dry. You don't want it to be bone dry. You want it to be leather hard. Okay, so you see what I did was I added these coils here, but to still leave these coils in would look really silly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend these in. And again, I want my pumpkin to be no more than leather hard. If it's bone dry and you start blending pieces in like this, it is going to cause a problem. And you can use your blending tool, and you can blend this in. Because I don't want it to look like I added a coil here. I want it to look like the brow is built up. And be careful, because you can break your whole face in right here. So once you start cutting in it, you can break your whole face. So sometimes when I'm doing some work like this, I'll put my finger in there and hold it up. Let's give it some support. And so I'm trying to blend this in, blend the clay in here into both of them. And so as you can see how I've kind of built up that brow there. And I can go back with my finger or any kind of tool that will smooth it and smooth it. I want to blend it into the pumpkin so it doesn't look like I added it. It'll just look like it's a part of the pumpkin. And it'll take some time to do this. I mean, you just can't throw a coil on there and say, I'm done. It takes some time to smooth it and clean it and build it up. And I also have some blending in here that I need to do. Now I can also put maybe a little coil on the bottom. I can do that too, and that might help build it up some. And again, this is very rough. I'm doing it very rough to start because I'm trying to do it fast, so you guys don't have to sit and watch me the whole time. Of course, you could be working on yours at the same time and looking up from time to time as I do it. That would be helpful. And try to use your blending tool. If this tool doesn't work best, you can try the popsicle stick or any other tool that you have. And so I'm blending this, blending it, and smoothing it. So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit clay down to the bottom, trying to soften this up a little bit, kind of get it ready to put some clay on there. I might take my fork and a little bit of slip and put on here. If I think I need it, score it up a little. Depending on how dry it is, that decides on how you want to do it. So I might make a little coil. Now, I know I'm doing this rather quick, and generally I will spend a lot more time on this when I'm doing it in class. So, maybe I want to add a coil like this. And I can shape this coil any way I want. Maybe this is what I want. But remember, if you decide you do it and you decide you don't like it, then just take it off. And it's that easy. You can just pull it right off of there and smooth it back and try something else. So don't be afraid to do that. It's perfectly fine to do that. And, I may get this on here and say, no, I don't like it. It's just not working the way I anticipated. And that's perfectly fine to change that. Just going to continue to build on that and kind of build it up. Again, I'm going to put some more over here. And I'm going to put it here and here. And again, I put another coil on there, and I'm going to press it in nice. And then I'm going to blend it in. So, this is what you should be doing right here. Blend it in, blend it in, blend it in. Okay. And keep working on it. Just keep working on that. Just keep blending it, shaping it. You can add more clay. Shape the eye a little bit. And it'll become really important to do a lot of smoothing in here. It's going to take some time to smooth this out and to clean this up. But you don't want to leave it all rough. It will not look good, and you will not be happy with the final results if you leave this super rough. You don't want to do that. You want it to be smooth and clean. Craftsmanship is important. So make sure that you craft it well. So, and you could try different tools too. You don't have to just use your fingers. If there's another tool that will smooth this a little bit better and you can get in there a little bit better, you can try that. I'll try this here and see if this works. Maybe this will work for me. And if it doesn't, I'll try a different tool. Okay, and keep blending and smoothing. Okay, so I'm starting to get some eyes built up here. And again, I would spend a lot more time blending and smoothing this. There's no way I would leave all these lumps and bumps here. I also would want to go back and try to clean up my lines to make sure my lines are still back in here. I don't want to lose those lines. So I'm kind of losing them here and here. So I want to make sure that I don't lose those lines. So I'll work those lines back in there, as I work on my clay. And it will take some time to do that. You just can't do it in just a few minutes, just like I'm trying to do to show you guys. It takes some time. Now, as I get further along, I need to clean in my eyes. I need to clean the outside. I need to smooth everything. I need to shape it better. And I'm starting to get, kind of, what I wanted. I'm getting it built up. I'm getting some eyebrows. It's just not a flat carved in piece. So it's starting to get a little bit closer to what I want. Now I have to decide, do I want to put an eye in here? And if I want to, I can do that. I could have cut it out and just left it cut out, or I could add it, and I don't know what it would look like added. So I can always just try some things. I could take a piece of clay and I could put it here and put it in there and see if I like it, and if I like it, I can blend it in and keep that piece. And if I don't like it, well, then I just take it off. So I could put an eye in here. And if you want, you can just put a little water on it and kind of get it stuck on there and kind of look at it and see how it looks. If you think it's going to look right, you're going to be happy with it. If not, you just pull it right off of there. So I could put this in here. Let's see, I kind of put it in kind of briefly and see, do I like that better? Would I prefer, if I did that, should I put like a dent in it, for the inside of the eye? Let me try this. You may say, I don't know if I like that. Maybe it should be a hole all the way through it. And I could try that if I want to. Then I can say, well, do I like that? I don't know that I do. Okay, I wanted to give you guys an update of where my pumpkin is right now. And I've spent a little bit of time defining some areas. I've added some textures to these, some lines here. I'm starting to carve out the eyes a little bit more. I'm trying to smooth all the areas up. And I'd like to come back and work on the stem more and do a lot more smoothing and add more lines. And that is going to be my goal, but this is my basic shape for my pumpkin, and it's getting there. And I would say another hour of work or so, maybe a little bit more, I'll be ready to get it fired and get it glazed. So I will give you an update later. Probably in the next video, we'll talk about glazing it. So I will see you next time.